Alright guys, well if you suffered through my last video and you came back, I appreciate it. Big news though, I talked to the machine shop and he said he's ready to take the motor. So we're going to take what we've got here and we're going to blow it apart into 1,000 pieces. And by the time we're done, it's going to be a bare blade. We're going to put it on the engine stand and strip the whole thing. So you guys are going to see the whole kit and caboodle. We're going to take the blower off, we're going to take the gear drive off, and my companion is letting me know that I'm doing it all wrong. So I apologize about the baby cues. My son's out here watching me work. So thank you very much for the encouragement, and we're going to dive straight in. We're going to take, like I said, we're going to start from the front and work our way back, and it should be good to go. So here we go, guys. So we're going to go ahead and take the fuel filter housing off. And part of the beautiful way that I designed this is I can just break this saddle loose, take my two fittings off, or in this case that fitting, and now the whole mount and everything comes right off. So this is upside to building a dragster is usually easy to take stuff off of. So set that on the workbench for right now. We're going to do the same thing to the oil filter housing. Boom. Now obviously that would be more difficult if it was full of fluid or something like that, but we're just going to roll with it. So guys, you'll have to let me know in the comments if you like the camera following me around. We're trying something new. So we're going to knock the fuel pump loose, maybe, if I have the right tools. Slide the belt off of it, take the cable off of it. Yeah. Am I doing a good job? Remember when I told you guys that this was a family affair? Well, my family is out here watching me do this. Fuel pump. Guys, we're gonna cruise right through this because, well, I'm impatient, and hopefully we're gonna be at the machine shop first thing in the morning. So, as they say, no rest for the wicked, and we're gonna go ahead and just ramrod straight through this project. And I'm gonna do my best to make sure that I leave as many of these assemblies as in little pieces as possible, so when I go to put it back together it's less work. And I don't have to think about where everything goes. I can just line it up and bolt it up and be done with it when it goes back together. Because when we get the motor back in this thing, I am going to be itching to take it to the track. Don't worry, there's going to be plenty in between this and actually run to the track, because we still have to wire it I haven't bought any valve train yet, so we'll have to see what that looks like as far as like, you know, logistics or getting the stuff, because parts seem to be hard to come by these days. So just in comparison, if you ever needed to know how big an F3 blower is, it's the size of my chest. So we're just gonna gently set this guy off to the side for now. I'm gonna find a more permanent home for that once I get back from the machine shop or off camera when you guys probably don't care about any of that. So. And just in case you missed our previous videos, that's a supercharger store gear drive. If anybody has questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. But that's next on the agenda. We're gonna go ahead and rip that puppy off of there as soon as I remember how many bolts I jammed in it. I don't remember. Sorry I didn't film that whole process, guys. Remember that couple videos back how I preached about having bolts that were all the same for whatever it is that you're taking apart? Well, when I put this together, I did not do that. So I had to get 17 different wrenches to take the gear drive off. But anyway, we got her off. We got her sitting here. So like I said, I'm just gonna throw all these bolts in a bag and put them with the plate along with the spacers and everything, because I had to make a spacer for a couple parts of it. And that way at least I'll have the right length bolts, and then you know, I'll spend the actual time to get the right shit. So, and my bags are on the other side of the car, so we're going over there. So a lot of guys might be wondering, like, was any of this stuff bolted down? Most of this stuff is all in mock-up mode, so that's why I was able to just like pick the intake up, and I'm gonna take a couple bolts and the zoomies are gonna fall off. They don't have any gaskets or anything like that. A lot of this is just mock-up and trying to figure out where everything goes. So we're gonna go ahead and just keep knocking all this stuff off. We're really close, actually. I mean, I think, I don't know, probably in the next couple minutes, we're gonna be looking for the engine crane. We're going to pluck this thing off, and that's really when the fun starts, because we're going to take this complete engine and we're going to knock it down to just basically a block. I got to tell you guys, you know, you'll notice I'm walking over here to put these bolts back in the bin I got hanging on the wall. I try super hard to make sure that I have as many bolts in stock as possible, because nothing holds up your project longer than searching for bolts or having to run to the hardware store or whatever it is that you, however it is that you get your bolts. I usually go to McMaster-Carr because I can have it in a couple days. You know, sometimes it's a little more expensive to do it that way, but you know, when you're working and trying to get stuff done, that's just how it is sometimes. So if I could get my assistant to zoom in on this section here, you guys will notice that this motor is held on by, you know, a pretty substantial hose clamp, but it's clamped right to the frame. And when Mike Boss back halved this whole thing is on a saddle, and it's captured by two little sleeves that are welded to the outside of the chassis. And the way it was explained to me is that this mount, although it keeps the motor located and it keeps it in its spot, because you guys will notice there's not a lot of room here. Like, it's not traveling front to back very far. And but anyway, it allows the chassis to flex a little bit. It allows it to work, is how it was described to me. So I didn't come up with that. It's not my design. A chassis builder that's been building dragsters that probably longer than I've been alive came up with that, and he says it's a good deal, so we're gonna roll with it. But there's a lot, I think if you guys looked at some of the pro level cars, I think that they do that the same way. So it's definitely not a new concept, but just something you guys may have never seen before. All right, so executive decision. Instead of, you know, because it's late here, so instead of, you know, waking up the whole neighborhood, throwing the garage door open, you know, starting to raise hell, I'm gonna just take the heads off of it while it's in the car, and then that'll save me some extra steps tomorrow for when I go to get ready to go to the machine shop. So we're gonna go ahead and knock this stuff loose real quick, and we're gonna take the heads off of a 5.3 LS motor. It'll be the easiest head removal you've ever seen, I promise. And guys, don't worry. I know you're looking at this like, what the actual hell is going on inside this motor? This is a junkyard motor. These push rods, I'm not even gonna clean them up. They're stock, nobody wants them. We're throwing them right in the trash. Or should I say, the beer budget bin. Alright guys, we are going to, I'm going to keep probably 2 of these stock head bolts, not because I plan on reusing them. Just, I'm going to do the old thread chaser trick where you take a grinder and put a cut in these and clean all the threads out. So I'm going to save a couple of them. I'll throw them right there for now, but the rest of them, going straight in the trash. So. If anyone doubted me that this was or wasn't a junkyard motor, should be pretty obvious now. This is a well-abused motor. Still spins nice and free. I guess while we're here, we'll go ahead and bang the lifters out of it too, because that's an easy one. That's low-hanging fruit. So we're going to go ahead and knock the lifters out of this thing. And that'll probably be it for tonight. We'll hit it first thing tomorrow morning. First thing tomorrow morning, we'll get the drag straw situated. We'll get the engine crane out. We'll pick the block up, put it on the stand. And then I'll show you how we disassemble the bottom end. Now, I know not a lot of you guys that have done engine work before are probably like, you didn't take the heads out and the bolts in the right order, or this, that, and the other thing. I know. I'm not worried about it. I have to have the heads decked anyway. Chances are they're not flat. So I'm not really that worried about it. Taking a couple thou off is not that big a deal. You can cry in the comments if you want to. Actually, I encourage it, because I would love to have a spirited discussion with you. But nonetheless, trust me, it'll be okay. And guys, don't reuse the stock lifter trays. These things are cheap, okay? I mean, if you're in a bind, I guess, yeah. But just don't. Just take them right here and just whip them right into the trash. And I couldn't plan that better I couldn't have planned that any better if I tried or talked better. See? Told you I wouldn't make it again. All right, let's go ahead and pop the lifters out. Well, hopefully you just got done watching a time lapse of me pulling the block out of the dragster. So right now I'm taking the balancer off, and then we're gonna knock this whole short block apart. You guys are gonna probably get to watch me huck all of this in my scrap pile, because we're literally not using any of it.
Drop something down there.
Well, in my infinite wisdom, I left the rest of these oil pan bolts in the bottom of the pan so that way I wouldn't lose them, right? Because I knew I was taking the pan back off. But what I didn't do was close the bag, so when I turned the motor over, all the bolts fell down into one of the pistons. So we'll retrieve these here shortly. So, we need to get to that one down there. If anybody was ever curious, it drives me insane that some of the bolts on these things are weird size. Like, who the hell puts an 11mm bolt on a rod? It's ridiculous. Good shape. Found them. If you were ever curious, the bottoms of pistons make excellent trays. You know, there's probably not a lot of people that smoke anymore, but they make good ashtrays.
Not promoting smoking at all.
Hey, people can make their own decisions. I'm not going to judge. I want to say, it's really, I don't know how many miles this motor had on it, but these rod bearings look pretty good. This motor definitely ran. I mean, I don't know what the other 7 look like, but this one looks really good. Now normally I'd be like stamping these in the order that they came out, but I'll probably keep them in order, you know. So like, what are we doing here? So this is 8, this was 7, so yeah, I guess I'll put them in the box just in case I need them later in order. You know, maybe I'll label it or something, but you know, for me, it's, you know, this rotating assembly is not gonna last long for where we're going, so. I'm telling you, this motor was in good shape. I don't know how many miles are on it, I don't remember. Bought it from a somewhat local guy. So based on that, I'd say this was a sweet deal. I mean, if I would have no problem, like if I was going to reuse this, I would have no problem just cleaning all this up and putting it right back together. I mean, these bearings look great. A little bit of side load, side wear, but I mean, I would have had no problems putting this thing together for like a 500-600 horsepower, you know, turbo, nitrous, whatever, or you know, just, you know, even a hot rod motor. So actually, I'm almost a little, I'm not sad by any means, but I'm almost a little upset that I had to take it apart just because, like, you could have slid a cam in this. Oh, I lied. The cam bearings are a little trashed. So, you know, you might have had to take it apart anyway and put cam bearings in it in a perfect world. I'm sure, like, you could have just slid a cam in this thing, though, and it would have been totally fine. But You know, and guys, this is not I'm not labeling this a how-to video, except for I'm going to call it how to take one apart sloppily. And you know, because I'm not going to reuse any of this stuff. Like, I might try and sell it, but I don't really think people are buying this kind of like stock internals unless they are like in a bad way, or they have like some sort of burnout truck that they don't care, burnout car, I should say, that they don't care about. So I'm going to wipe all this down, finish taking some random bolts and crap out of it, and I'm not going to video my trip to the machine shop because, well, I'm just not going to do it. So this will be the end of this video, and if you have any questions, let me know. If you want a 5.3 stock rods and pistons, let me know, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.